Sarah, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, he's an insider for ESPN.com, had this to say about some conversations that he had both before the Houston embarrassment and after the Houston embarrassment.
Panic meter is rising a little bit because, Rich, I can tell you going into this or last week against the Texans, just talking to people there, they felt like that was going to be a get-right game for them. They were legitimately shocked with what happened despite Lamar Jackson being out. They felt like they were going to get back to team complementary ball, playing like a Raven, playing with an edge. They felt like they could help Cooper Rush by running the ball with Derrick Henry. And then suddenly none of that happened. And so I do think there's a shock in the building that has to sort of wear off quickly. And they're trying to navigate this thing. Like, look, when Lamar Jackson's in the game in the regular season, he wins like 72% of the time. So if they can get him back, and I know he's rehabbing, he's been working in the pool, trying to loosen up that hamstring, and everything looks good behind the scenes. He's got to get back on the practice field this week. But if he's out there, they're always going to have a chance to win. But, you know, they were kind of hoping him being gone would be a chance for them to sort of galvanize themselves and play like a complete game. And now, you know, you're looking at 177 points you've given up in 5 games on defense. That's the worst clip in a 5-game stretch in Ravens history, dating back to 1996. And so right now the season's slipping away in a hurry, and I don't know what solutions they feel like they can find right now.
That's courtesy of the Rich Eisen show and Jeremy's recent segment that he gave to Rich. And Sarah, I think there's one specific part that we probably should focus on. Yeah, Lamar's working his tail off, but as we just discussed earlier on in the live stream, he's not at Wednesday's practice, probably not expected, maybe has an outside shot, to use Jay Glazer's terms, to play on Sunday. So that's that. But the first part of it I thought was interesting. He had conversations with people in the building. Whether he was paraphrasing those conversations or not, they were confident enough to refer to the Texans game as a get-right contest? It was a get-right game for the Texans. Was it not?
It for sure was. Yet again, it's why C.J. Stroud is named the AFC Offensive Player of the Week. Yeah, well, and he said at the beginning of it, he said, the panic meter is definitely rising. And so it's kind of what we've been talking about. Like yesterday when you were saying, does John Harbaugh really believe that this team is closer to turning it around than last year's at this time? And I was like, I do. I think he really believes it because his actions have said so. But like they're several weeks behind fans and maybe a couple weeks behind media saying, hey, it is time to panic. Maybe they've been a little too patient. And you're seeing the fruits of the rising panic meter coming to fruition through these trades. You're seeing the rising panic meter from John Harbaugh calling out his offensive coordinator last week, or allowing the media to call out Rashad Bateman and not really coming, to his defense. And you hear him saying, we're going to manufacture things. We're going to look at scheme. And then he's asked about the offensive line. And he's like, yes, we need to look at guys who are plateauing. And maybe they're not making the development that we thought they would. Hello, Voorhees and Fa'alele. And so you have to try other things. So finally, that's why this report actually seems true, is because they are making the moves that may be showing that panic meter is rising. And so feels like it's a couple weeks delayed. They gave a lot of their guys a shot, but it is funny. It is funny that they thought it was going to be a get-right game, because even last week on Friday when we had John McClain on, you called it a get-right game for Houston. So it's just two people going in opposite directions there of what their expectations were. And by the way, John said it also on Monday. He's like, we didn't expect it to go that way. We expected to be better. We thought we'd be able to, as Jeremy Fowler just pointed out again, we thought we'd be able to control the clock more, run some more. The coaches went back to what John Harbaugh is known for, which is trying to run the ball, and then try to play, a sound defense. But then he's realizing, wait, maybe I don't have the offensive line to give me what I want, which is to run and impose, a bully ball physical game. Maybe he's finally waking up to it. I hope to see that along the offensive line, because we've been awake to it for quite some time.
Sarah, I got to tell you, to use the phrase that Jeremy used here in sort of relaying some conversations that he had internally, that they were shocked with what happened, and that's despite knowing that they were out without their franchise quarterback. I got to be honest with you. After the last 2.5 weeks of football that we've watched and covered, I'm going to be shocked if they come out in different form on Sunday, to be quite honest with you.
Right.
I am. I'm going to be shocked because of what we've seen now, the underperformance, the lack of fight, the lack of the Raven way. I'm going to be stunned. I'll be pleasantly surprised, but I'll be stunned.
Sure.
Right? Is that fair?
I would be, listen, if the Ravens beat the LA Rams, I would for sure be shocked. Yeah, but you're right. So for them to be shocked on the opposite side is just like there's two different levels of belief in this team for sure.
Correct.
One on the inside and some on the outside.
Yeah. Now, so we got the news earlier on, right? Just along the lines of where this team's going to be. Speaking of the Rams game coming up, we mentioned at the beginning just a few moments ago that Kyle Hamilton is back to practice on the first install day, the first of 3 practices leading into week 6, as is Ronnie Stanley. Great news, encouraging signs for their statuses coming up. But I wanted to cut back to something that Jeff Zaribek got into last night as it relates to what we now know is final, and that's the Odafe Owe trade. That's the signing of C.J. Gardner-Johnson to their practice squad. That's out of result of the trade, a acquisition of a starting caliber safety in Alohi Gilman, right? What does this all mean? What does this mean for what the Ravens believe they have up front from an edge rusher standpoint? Is there anything else that you wanted to cut
just
to?
That, like, what led up to it? I thought Jeff gave a lot of good information of like what led into those, because Jeremy gave a little bit saying the panic meter was rising and that they were shocked by the results. Here's a little bit more about what led up to it.
Can I say 2 more quick things, Bobby?
Heck yeah.
Clarify keeping things. The 2 safety additions today, Alohi Gilman and C.J. Gardner-Johnson, I think has led to some speculation that, wow, maybe Kyle Hamilton is hurt and they have a more serious injury than people think. Not the case. Kyle Hamilton has a chance to play Sunday. You never know with groin injuries, but they did this deal as a compliment to Kyle Hamilton on the field because they believe he's going to be a big part of this going forward. Now, you never can predict health, and these soft tissue injuries, but there's no long-term concern about at the moment about Kyle Hamilton's health. And the other guy who we did not mention, who warrants mention in this discussion, they want Mike Green to play, and they want him to play a lot. And they want him to be on the field on 3rd downs. And that hasn't always been the case. Now it will be the case. He's playing about a little over 55% of the defensive snaps. They have shown some signs. He has shown some signs. He has also shown some signs of struggles. That's part of it for a rookie edge rusher. They're bullish on Mike Green. They think he's going to be a really good player and perhaps be the answer to that, issue Cole said about developing young edge rushers. He's going to be on the field a lot more. They're ready to ride with him. And, so I honestly, and the other thing is I honestly think they could get up, always making a lot of money. And if you're paying him that amount of money to be a double-digit sack guy, you're good with it. I mean, $13.25 million for a guy who's going to get double-digit sacks is fine. But if you're paying him and he's struggling, that becomes a big issue. And I think you could probably get similar production out of Owe at a fraction of the cost. And, it's Eric DeCosta's job to go out and find that piece or pieces. But for now, I think they want to see Mike Green get a lot more run. And, Chargers have had some issues keeping their tackles healthy. And, the Rams have had some issues at times. So it's, maybe it's this week for Mike Green where he has that breakout, but people shouldn't think they're down on him. I think they think he's still going to be a very good player.
Okay, so 2 things. It's pretty cool that Jeff said that before he knew that Kyle Hamilton was going to be back at practice. He's out there. Kyle Hamilton was close last week. So was Ronnie Stanley. Neither one of them quite made it. So looking good that they'll return this week. So just to reiterate, this is to complement what they have, not to replace what they have. Number 2, I thought it was hilarious when he said the Ravens figured that they could get just as much production as Owe at a cheaper cost. And I'm like, you don't say, because he has 0 sacks, 0 sack production up to this. Yes, you could pay somebody much cheaper to get 0 sack production and letting guys like Xavier Worthy get to the outside and not seal the edge. I agree. You could find somebody cheaper. And while Mike Green for sure has not hit his potential yet. We already saw this trend coming. Mike Green was getting more and more and more snaps, and then OA was getting less. I will just say this. I am here for continuing to build up Mike Green. We know what his potential is. He's not quite there yet, but we know what the potential is. I hope that statement right there, along with like Adisa Isaac coming back, I hope that doesn't mean the Ravens aren't going to make a move across the defensive line. And whether it's a pass rusher, like we talked about, Kayvon Thibodeau over at the Giants, since they also have Abdul Carter and Brian Burns. I don't know, people talking about Dexter Lawrence, all that, but you could also use interior help since Nominee's not going to be back this season and maybe longer. I mean, Calais Campbell, if the Arizona Cardinals keep going down, again, Calais isn't going to like have all this pass rush, but he's going to stop the run. He's going to be solid. I know Cole mentioned for you guys last night, Jeffrey Simmons. I love that they're going to be building up Mike Green. But please, oh, please don't let it be what we just talked about, where panic was finally setting in and they were shocked. Nobody around here is shocked about the defensive line. Let's not put too much hope in Mike Green in his rookie year, as much as, it's good news that he's trending up. Let's not overinflate it, though, and make sure you get more reinforcements in there. And also on the other side of the ball, I like that you're getting Kyle Hamilton some help. Let's get Lamar Jackson some help, and you're probably not going to get some from the outside, but make in-house moves along the interior offensive line to help Lamar and Derrick Henry out more. I like the moves they're making on defense, but I want it accompanied by more moves, including more trades for the defensive line and more moves in-house on the offensive line.
Oh, yeah. All of that. And speaking of reinforcements, Kyle Van Noy obviously returned this past weekend.
Yep. Got a sack.
He did get a sack. Jason Smith broke that down as free shot, right? For the most part there. Kyle got a nice free shot there, free lane at CJ Stroud on Sunday. And now you just hope that he can sustain the health off the hamstring and that doesn't linger at all for his 33-year-old body. Speaking of Kyle, though, obviously his post-game thoughts got some run, Sarah. Not exactly a ringing endorsement of the messaging. We talked about it at length earlier this week. There was a real long pause when asked about accountability. He was sort of nervously rubbing his arms. Yeah. I mean, there was just, it was just that kind of moment where you asked yourself, like, man, is there more to this? Well, Kyle got on his podcast. It dropped yesterday, the Kyle Van Noy and the Marissa Van Noy YouTube channel that he's been doing some weekly segments. Again, he calls it a TV show, not a podcast. Not sure what that's all about, but here is his clarification of his words post-game on yesterday's drop.
Welcome back to the KVN show. No, this isn't a podcast. It's a TV show. It's a short TV show. And shout out to those that like it. I work extremely hard at my job. I want to be really good at my job. And I feel like yesterday I was able to say a lot of the things that I was going to say on here at the podium. So this will be really short. Things that I want to add that people are kind of taking out of context is the messaging is fine. I said that we need to get better fundamentally with the players. And that's a fact. Like tackling, blocking, the basic things. Players need to do better. And yeah, so don't read too much into that, and we'll continue to get better.
Okay, Sarah, let me be clear on two things. In my opinion, I'll let you in after that. Maybe we agree, maybe we don't. One, it's a podcast. That's a podcast that he's on. Sorry. You can call it a TV show all you want. That's a podcast.
Podcast can be video also. It's on YouTube, so it's
Correct.
Video form, but it's a podcast in video form.
Correct. I don't know what he's trying to disassociate himself from within the podcast community, but you are a podcaster. That's
maybe he wants a TV. He wants a TV gig on Fox Sports or ESPN or CBS or whatever, and so he wants it saying, "Hey, I did a TV show." But
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm sure he's
fine.
Trying
we do
to
it. If so,
himself.
we do a TV show. But what he's doing is what we do.
You know what? If he wants to disconnect himself from the narrative around podcasters that are actively playing, maybe that's an effort to do so. I get it. He and Marlon have been in the crosshairs of this fan base. That's how it goes. You're a podcaster. You're doing it once a week. Nobody between us is criticizing you for that, by the way. We feel like it's an extension of what you do at the podium when you are made available. And we respect your free time, even if it is in season. It's a 10-minute segment that he put together. I'm sure he has a team from a production standpoint that allows him to get it all involved and drop on YouTube. But let's be clear about that. He is podcasting an hour, 30 minutes, whatever it is per week. And we don't have a problem with that. Number 2, nothing was taken out of context. Nothing. There was nothing taken out of context. Okay. Let's be clear on that. Kyle said what he said on Sunday at the post-game podium. This was damage control. What he got on and started his podcast yesterday, and my interpretation of that is damage control. Because this, as we heard over the weekend, Sarah, was how he handled his post-game media session when asked 2 specific questions about the media and about the state of the team. Here it is.
Messages that are coming from John or Zach or whomever aren't getting through in some way?
That's probably a question that's above my pay grade, probably. I think that's a Harbaugh and CO question, to be honest. Like, I think their messaging is fine, and we got to be the group to take that and go out and do the simple things right, the fundamentals. Easy, basic stuff.
Accountability. Have you seen enough of that from the team after these losses, and what does that look like?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I'll be able to answer that better after the week, to be honest. To just be blatant honest. I feel like there's accountability, but we'll see.
Come on, Kyle. Nobody's taking it out of context.
Bro,
Sarah, get in here.
Context, taking stuff out of context is where you take a clip and shorten it and not give somebody's full answer and twist it into something that he didn't say. We've played those 2 clips. We gave the full question, the full answer, another full question, another full answer. How is that taking it out of context? And maybe he's not talking about us, but we all watched the same thing, whether it was you and me or fans watching it live on YouTube, because the Ravens team puts it up on YouTube so we can all watch it together. Like, no, he has regret for what he said. He wishes he had either not said it or phrased something that he meant to say different. Maybe he meant to say something different, but that is now probably the 6th or 7th time that I've watched that clip because we've played it. And every single time he pauses and rubs his forearms together, how do you not feel awkward? And you're just like, he can't. It's what we had our headline. What he didn't say said everything. And so what he should have said was, guys, I didn't say what I meant to say. And again, take accountability rather than turn it around on all the fans or podcasters or people that are on TV shows and the way we all saw it, because we saw it the way he put it out. He regrets how he said it. And now he's trying to and by the way, the media for sure is an easy battering ram because the media does take things out of context often. And the media does. And so I'm sure inside he's probably like, oh guys, you know how the media is, you know how it is. That's not the way it was. And it's like, but in this case, it was. And by the way, we do a 2-hour show, so we rarely do anything out of context. In fact, maybe we give too much context sometimes. So yeah, I'm not buying that. If you didn't mean it, then get up there and stand up for your guys and don't turn around on us acting like we misinterpreted it or took it out of context.
And if you're insecure about something you're doing on the side of football in season, which is podcasting, if you're insecure about some of the noise that's been surrounding you and Marlon for that, which is within your right to do. But if you're insecure and you're feeling the heat, then don't do it.
Either don't do it or go win football games, because if it's a combination of losing and doing a podcast, we're not the ones. We've set up for him and Marlon saying they can do their podcasts. Like, we don't care, but just know we are the minority in that opinion. Fans do not share the opinion that me and Bobby have. And so you just have to know the reality that if you are losing and doing a podcast, you're going to get called out. You have to either stop or start winning, one of the two.
I could not agree anymore. And guess what? The fans are entitled to their opinions, by the way, because there's a lot of anger and frustration out there about the lack of product. And we feel also strongly that this is something that it's within their right to do in their free time, but it comes with reality. It comes with heat, and that's what they're taking right now. And clearly, Kyle can't take it right now. So just some thoughts. Hopefully it's an afterthought in the coming weeks, and they're able to get back to winning ways as they get healthy and whatnot. But those are our thoughts on the latest surrounding Kyle Van Noy, and ultimately Jeremy Fowler's thoughts on conversations that he's had relaying internally based on this current panic meter.